This is a video to showcase some of the main differences that I've encountered in my short time playing the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered compared to the original. I've been playing for a few hours now, so this won't be like an all-encompassing video, but I have already noticed lots of differences in the game that I thought would be worth bringing to the attention of returning players so they know if this is a game that's worth investing in for themselves. You know, is it going to tickle that nostalgia from the original or not? Now, this game is obviously called Oblivion Remastered, but it's actually kind of like halfway between a remaster and a remake. Will it be a remistake? Hopefully not, but let's find out. Now, obviously, the game is going to have completely overhauled graphics. It's basically the original Oblivion engine for the logic of the game, with a whole new paint job slapped on top. This means new visuals, new textures, new UI. That's why the game is going to be nearly 120 gigabytes to download. So before I get into the actual differences in the game, I just want to point out about, first of all, the thing that you're going to have to decide when you purchase this game is, do you want to go for the base game or the deluxe edition? The base game actually includes the original Elder Scrolls experience along with the Shivering Isles DLC, Knights of the Nine DLC, and all of the houses as well. It also includes the Horse Armor DLC, that infamous DLC that everyone blames for the DLC climate that we're in these days. There is a bit of misinformation going around that the deluxe edition is how you get the horse armor DLC, but that's not actually true. So the deluxe edition includes the soundtrack, it includes a couple of new quests to help you get some new armors and weapons that they've added into the game, and it does also contain some new pieces of horse armor. So it's not the original horse armor, it's some extra pieces on top of the original horse armor. I believe that's just a little bit of a meme nod from Bethesda to the original uproar that the horse armor DLC received back in the day, and that will set you back about an extra $10. So I would say that the game is about 90% the same from what I've experienced so far, so let's get into now the things that are a little bit different. So this is the character creation screen. You can see my brave attempt at recapturing Sheogorath from the Shivering Isles from the original game. I think I've done a pretty good job of that. From what I can tell, all of the races operate the same at the moment. They all have the same kind of stats that they had in the original game. So I might be wrong there because I've obviously not played as every single race, but the two races that I have tested out, which was Breton and Redguard, they both had exactly the same stuff going on as they did in the original. What is new though is this tab down here, which is Origin. So basically now you can actually choose like where your character came from, to give them a little bit of a backstory, but also to fine-tune their stats a little bit. So as I've been recently playing as the Breton, let me talk about this one. So if you choose that you are from High Rock, then you're actually going to move a little bit faster as a Breton. Whereas if you choose this one over here, your strength will instead be prioritized over your speed. You can see there the speed is 30, strength is 40, and over here, strength is 30, speed is 40. So that's a nice little touch. It gives you a little bit of variation to your character, which is nice. Another new feature that you can have is that you can have facial hair, which you couldn't have in the original. The only person that had facial hair in the original was Lord Sheogorath, which kind of made him stand out a little bit more. You can also have makeup, which again is something you could not do in the past. For some reason they've changed sex to body type. I think that's just like some kind of new age thing that games are doing now. But essentially, yeah, Type 1 is obviously your traditionally female character, and Type 2 is your traditionally male character. What I am interested to see is if the stats change, whether you're a male or female like they did in the original game. So let's again just acknowledge the stats of the Breton. Okay, and now let's see the stats of the female Breton. So in the past, Oblivion used to have different stats based on whether you chose to be male or female, but it seems like they've blended those into basically you have the same stats whether you are male or female. The next change that I want to talk about is with birth signs. All of the birth signs are exactly the same from what I can tell, except for one, and that is the Lord. So the Lord in the original gave you a healing lesser power called Blood of the North, I believe it was called, where you could heal quite a lot of points over a period of time, as many times as you wanted per day, as long as you had the magic to cast it. And then it also had a curse called the Tolkien Curse, or the Trollking Curse, where you were 25% weak to fire. But they've actually buffed the Lord significantly. Basically, you always have a shield rating of 15 with this, and also an increased resistance to magicka of 15%. So you know what this means. They've just buffed the Breton a fuck ton. The Breton was already like triple S tier for a character in the original game because of their natural resistance to magic of 50% and also their dragon skin ability, which would once per day allow them to shield 50%. So basically this would make the shield 65% and their resistance to magicka 65%. Like, that's huge. That's really, really, really strong. Like, if you thought the Breton was ridiculously powerful in the original, this is basically the ultimate buff. Now, I traditionally used to use Breton with Mage or Apprentice because you'd get that 50-point magicka boost, or you'd get that 100-point magicka boost. But I feel like this one's better. Having that armor rating increased by 15 always, and then having a resistance to magicka of 65% always at the start of the game is ridiculously powerful. That means that you can basically become immune to magic a lot faster than before. And if the game ends up playing out anything like the original, which it seems to so far in my experience, then magic is one of the most powerful things that you need to worry about in this game. But yeah, like I said, the other birth signs, from what I can tell, they are basically the same, which means unfortunately the tower birth sign is still the worst birth sign in the game. Over to class now, you can see that the classes are actually separated like this into combat, magic, and stealth for easier navigation, but you can also, just as before, create a custom class. Just as before, you can choose a specialization to help level your skills a little bit faster. The attributes are mostly the same, however, there are a few differences, I think. So agility now takes into consideration daggers and short swords on top of bows. So they've been removed from the strength category and instead added to the agility category. I think that's a pretty good move. It makes agility a little bit more useful if you're not just only using bows. And also there's a little bit of clarification about fatigue. Fatigue is obviously going to affect how long you can sprint for, since sprinting is now a function in this game, which I'll show you a little bit later. But willpower says that it greatly increases your fatigue, and agility says that it slightly increases your fatigue. So over to skills. The magic skills that you will encounter are basically the same. The conjuration, destruction, alteration, basically any of the schools that allow you to cast spells, their perks are identical. They all just mean that you can now cast stronger versions of each different kind of spell. Block is different. As you can see with block, you actually get access to the shield bash ability that you may remember from Skyrim if you become an expert as well. And if you become a master, you can do a lot of damage with your shield bashing. Marksman seems to be predominantly the same, however the paralyze ability I think used to only be a master thing, but it's now been moved to expert where it's a slight chance to paralyze targets, and then master increases that chance. Mercantile seems to be predominantly the same. The only thing I can really see that might be different is it talks about the merchants offering better items for sale. And it also says that Master, you can always buy and sell items at the best price possible. I assume that means when you do haggling, you can actually go all the way to the right-hand side when you're trying to get a better deal, instead of the original Oblivion game, where if you were dealing with like experts and master level traders, then you wouldn't actually be able to get the best possible deal, even if you yourself were a master. But I don't know, because I'm obviously not that far through the game yet. Sneak has been altered, so it's not just an increase in your damage output while you're sneaking and the ability to sneak successfully. It also now outlines that, for example, when you're journeyman level, you make less noise when moving while sneaking. Expert, you are harder to detect in brighter environments. And master, your sneak attacks ignore the opponent's armor. I believe that's changed. I think sneak used to only be harder to detect and more damage output while sneaking, so this is a little bit more clear. Armorer, they've changed as well. It used to be the case that you'd need to be a journeyman in armor to repair magical items. They've actually put that perk with apprentice this time around, and they've switched that around with the next perk. So this perk for journeyman used to be apprentice. Expert is the same and master is the same. Athletics is the same. Blade is a little bit different. Blade actually has, again, it's not just a case of dealing more damage the higher your blade is. It actually has a weakness to normal weapons debuff on the target when you do power attacks, when you get to Journeyman. It also adds a bleed ability when you get to Expert, which will deal damage over time, and then Mastered makes the weakness to normal weapon debuff even more powerful. Again, it was just an increase in damage in the original game with a chance to disarm or knock back enemies, things like that, but now we've actually got some more specific abilities that come with leveling up your blade. Blunt likewise has also had a change. So here you can see when you get to Journeyman, you actually get a shield ability when you do a power attack. So that's going to buff you. It means when you've got that long recoil time after doing a power attack, you're going to automatically get a little bit of a shield protection if your enemy starts to counter you. Also, Expert, if you see here, you also get the ability to silence your opponents. Silence means that they can't cast spells, so this would be a useful skill against magicians, but again, because Bretons are so powerful with their Lord ability, I'm not sure I'm going to get that much use out of Blunt, since I reckon I will be immune to magic a lot quicker than this will become useful. But if you're playing as a non-Breton, then yeah, this can definitely help you out in the magic dungeons. And then the Master ability just makes the shield even more powerful. To make hand-to-hand stand out a little bit more, they've actually made the disarm ability unique to hand-to-hand. So the Blade and Blunt used to be able to disarm people with a sideways power attack. However, now this is a hand-to-hand only power. And also, it seems to be that they can also hurt wraiths and ghosts, the enemies that are usually immune to normal weapons. If you're a Journeyman, for some reason, it means that you can start punching ghosts, which I think is a bit of a meme in of itself, so I'm not too upset about it, even though it's a bit bizarre. Heavy armor appears to be the same from what I can tell. Alchemy's definitely got a few changes to it. So on top of being able to recognize new properties from ingredients, here you can see when you're an apprentice, you also have a chance to craft an additional potion. So when you're crafting that Restore Fatigue potion with your rice and your onion, maybe now you'll get 2 of them instead. It also appears that you need to be a higher rank to get access to simultaneous potion effects. Now, from the gameplay I have played, I got myself to apprentice level alchemy already. It was really quick. And you can definitely have 2 simultaneous potion effects when you're lower than Journeyman, but I don't know about 3 or more. So I'm assuming that when you get to Journeyman, it might allow you to get 3 effects. And then if you look down to Master, maybe you can get 4 or 5 effects from your potions. And if you become an expert, you can definitely 100% always craft 2 potions for every 1 set of ingredients. Master still has the ability where you can craft potions from a single ingredient. So I guess that means that you basically get 2 potions from a single ingredient. Acrobatics has made the dodge ability go from Journeyman level to Apprentice. So that used to be here, now it's here. The expert ability of jumping, it used to say jump off the surface of the water, but here it says over the surface, so I'm not really sure what that means, like why the wording's changed. But essentially, yeah, this used to be the master level perk, now it's an expert level perk. It appears now that acrobatics only really cares about fall damage and dodging. I don't think acrobatics governs how high you can jump anymore. That might be something that they've got rid of because they knew how game-breaking it was in the original, where you could basically skip so many obstacles using high acrobatics. I believe light armor is the same. Again, if I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments section. Security is the same, still pretty damn useless as an ability outside of role-playing. And Speechcraft, I believe, is mostly the same. Some of the wording makes it sound like some things have been slightly altered, but I can't quite remember the exact wording of the original game. I know I could just go and research it, but even if Speechcraft has changed, it must be so minor that I can't pick it up right off the go. And to be honest, I should be able to pick it up immediately because I've been playing the original Oblivion for like 100 hours recently, so yeah, I can't notice anything different there. So this is sprinting. This is what sprinting looks like. In third-person mode, it looks like this. Kind of looks a bit loony-toony. This enemy died. I don't know why he's alive again. And he's actually... Has he gone through the wall there? No, he's there. So let's kill him. Just really quickly so I can show you the next thing. Where's he gone? My blade's just increased, but where's he gone? Alright, I've had to backtrack because that rat just completely vanished. I don't know if he kind of clipped through the wall there, wouldn't surprise me. So one other change I wanted to point out is the looting system. Now, it used to be the case that you'd be able to see how much loot you can carry during while looking at this table. However, you can see it's vanished. You can only see what the character that you're looting has. So if you want to dispose of items on a corpse instead of by dropping them on the floor, it's a bit of unclear here, but it says search. So you press F to search, and then you just whack the item across like so. Now it is on his corpse, which you can see like so. So yeah, a few people actually were asking about that in the Discord, so I decided to include that in the list of changes, since it used to be the case that you would just press like tab and then you'd be able to switch between your inventory and the enemy's inventory. But that's now been changed to F. Also, if an enemy or container has no loot, it does actually tell you now that it's empty. So there's no more thinking, wait a minute, did I look in this container or inside this enemy? Oh, one other thing that I wanted to point out as well with looting, so I've added it in here, is that some people have said that the looting is a little bit finicky, where sometimes they can loot, sometimes they can't. It's because they've actually mapped loot and grab to the same function. So if I tap space, I will loot. If I hold space, I will then start to drag. And it's very, very, what's the word, temperamental. So it basically, if you literally tap loot for more than half a second, it will start to drag. So you want to make sure that you're just literally tapping as quickly as possible, not lingering your finger on the keyboard, and then you will be able to loot consistently. Because yeah, I figured that out really quickly. I was like, this is really annoying that I keep dragging the guy around instead of looting. So it's not a bug, it's just a little bit unfortunate in the timing. You also start with this spell Clairvoyance, which you may also remember from Skyrim, where if you press the cast ability, it will give you an indication of which way to go towards your quest marker. I'm not going to go over controller differences too much because you can actually alter the controls of both the keyboard and mouse and the game controller. Just know that you can actually set secondary keys for things. So for example, cast spell is usually on C, and I don't like C. That's like way too low. I prefer it on Q. So I have Q for casting spells, but then I also have one of my mouse hotkey buttons to also cast spells. So yeah, that's a nice little touch that you can add. And yeah, I've also got another one here where I can access my magic menu using this. The hotkey menu is also set to R, and the game actually goes on around you while you're selecting hotkeys, so be careful of that. In the past, if you were selecting a hotkey, the game would actually pause around you so that you couldn't take damage, but now you can. So you have to be pretty quick. On top of sprinting, there's also now 3 different points of view for your character. This is first person, this is sort of like over the shoulder person, and then this is the furthest person. So you've basically got 3 different views you can choose from here, and that's all accessed using the scrolly wheel. I don't know what it is on controller, but yeah, or you can click the wheel in and it will cycle through them like so. I have just got a level up now, so I'm going to go and show you the changes to leveling up. So when you level up, you can automatically see that this is not like the original Oblivion at all. You've got these stars called virtues at the top. So you can still select 3 things to level up per level. However, it will consume virtues. This means that the horrible efficient leveling thing from the original is gone. You don't need to min-max like you used to, since basically the skills that you select for your major skills, they just get a boost to the speed of their experience and their starting values. It's no longer necessary to only focus on major skills to level up. Every skill that you improve contributes to a level up. So yeah, major skills are still very important for early game, but there's no more of that stupid planning that you had to do to make sure that you were getting +5 to all of your stats. So basically, yeah, let's say I choose strength. I can basically put up to 5 things into strength, like so. I can then choose a second one and put some virtues into that. Now, there's an interesting one in luck. If I pick luck, you can still only go up 1, but it actually consumes 4 virtues. I'm not sure if that's the game trying to tell us that luck is actually a bit more buffed than what it used to be, because all luck used to do was give you a hidden bonus to all of your stats. This is obviously very beneficial early game, but when you start to get stats to 100, it means luck's usefulness starts to go out. Luck didn't used to have any effect on loot from what anyone could ever tell. It only used to also have an impact on your betting odds in the arena. It'd like give the person that you bet on more health if your luck was above 50, and if it was below 50, it would actually give the enemy more health. So it was more likely that the person you bet on would lose their combat. So yeah, let me just quickly finish this. Okay, we're going to go 4-4, confirm. The next thing I want to point out, which some people were a bit confused about, is how the map works. So it used to be that you'd have 2 tabs for map. You'd have world map and then local map. So basically, if you want to have access to local map, you just scroll in your wheel like so, and now you've got the local map view. And likewise, if you scroll out like so, then you can do that as well. That's something that never used to be in the game. It'd be a set distance away that you'd have to drag around. But yeah, now you can zoom in, zoom out, or you can use the scrolly wheel over here using clicks if you prefer not to use the wheel, but can't see why you'd want to do that. I'm just mentioning it because you can. Another difference is the difficulty setting. So Oblivion used to basically have a really long slider between very, very easy and very, very hard. And the only difference would be on very, very easy, the damage that you would output would increase a lot and the damage you'd receive would reduce a lot. Whereas obviously very hard would be the inverse. So they've actually scrapped the percentage system across the slider and instead put it into a system like this, just like Skyrim. Novice is going to obviously be very easy, then Apprentice, then Adept, then Expert, then Master. I've played around with the difficulties a little bit. I actually started the game foolishly on Master because I thought, man, I'm a pro at these games, no problem. I beat the first 2 rats, then got absolutely fucked by all of the goblins that I encountered. But yeah, from what I can tell, it operates almost the same as the original in terms of when I was playing on Master difficulty, I was outputting hardly any damage and I was receiving what felt like 3 times the normal damage. Expert's what I've landed on as my happy place. Like, this is definitely a bit more challenging than the Adept difficulty I played on for a little bit, but it's not as soul-crushingly annoying as Master, where every single enemy's a tank. So my advice for returning players is to play on Expert difficulty. I feel like Master's something that you want to do if you really just want to have a really horrible time. But yeah, Expert was a really happy place, and I feel like Apprentice or Adept are fine for new players. I wouldn't even bother playing the game if you're playing on Novice. To be honest, you'll just steamroll absolutely everything. Another new feature you can see is that when you're looking in a direction towards a quest, or fuck off crab, a quest or a marker, you can see at the top there, it says Sideways Cave, and it actually tells me how. So number one, it tells me what I'm walking towards, right? It tells me that it's Sideways Cave, not just like any random cave, but it also tells me how many steps it's going to be until I get there. So yeah, that's another quality of life feature. It also works for quest markers. So if I angle myself towards my green quest marker there, it says 800 steps to get there. Just like before, you can set down a custom marker using the right click. It'll say, do you want to set a marker? It was a bit annoying to set a marker in the original. It wasn't very obvious that you could do it. It was on console, but like on PC, it wasn't like actually announced that you could set custom markers. But there we go, we've just set one. What I'm trying to look for now is alchemy ingredients. Here you can see an example of the draw distance. You can actually see Frost Crag Spire all the way up there on the Gerald Mountains really clearly from down here. I'm only playing this on high graphics settings, by the way. I'm not playing it on ultra high. I don't trust my computer to handle that, so it can look even better than it does right now. You just saw there when I leveled up my athletics that it contributes towards my level. The skeleton is also stronger. The skeleton is also stronger as a companion early game. That's a change that I noticed, even on Expert. Okay, the next thing I wanted to point out is that when you are looking at an alchemic ingredient, or basically anything on the floor, it will actually highlight. This never used to happen in Oblivion. But also look what happens. When you take it, the actual model of the thing changes. That was not something that existed on the original, except for Nirn roots. Speechcraft is also a little bit different. Let me just go through what's different about it. So you click start, and at first you don't know what this person likes without looking at their faces. Okay, so their face will give me information about what he likes. If he smiles a lot, then he means he loves it. Smiles a little bit, he likes it. Frowns a little bit, dislikes. And then really full-on scowls, that's dislike, right? So then once you've done it a single time, it'll actually come up with colors. 4 bars obviously means that you're doing the action at full power, and then 1 bar means not. So what you want to do is try and get the things that he doesn't like at the lowest bars, which are the color red, and then get the things that he does like at the fullest bars. Okay, and then we'll get an increase. So I'm just going to show you one quick round of it, like me playing it a bit more properly. So we're going to go green, red, green. There we go. Okay, and I've raised his disposition a little bit, not a great amount. So yeah, in short, green like this means loves it. Green like this means likes it. Brown means doesn't like it. Red means hates it. That's all you need to know. And just be aware that the longer you take, the more the disposition of the character will go down, unless you're high in Speechcraft. Okay, for alchemy, just be aware that the apparel used to be at the very top of this, but now it's not. You actually have to go and find your things, your pestle. But yeah, alchemy's mostly the same, but I'm just going to introduce you to a nice little feature that they added. You can filter it so that if you wanted to create specifically a restore fatigue potion, you can see which ingredients have that effect. You can actually also then add multiple different filters so that you can see all of the ingredients that match those effects. The next change that you can see is that you can actually have more than one autosave. In the original game, you would only get one autosave that would combine whether you were waiting, sleeping, or fast traveling, but now you actually get separate autosaves to avoid corruption issues that many people might have. Quick saving is also a lot more stable in this version than it was in the original. Just press F5 to quick save. Okay, the last thing I want to show you, I'm just going to actually talk about it because I can't really show you because this is in-game, but essentially achievements are back. The original Oblivion game did not have achievements on Steam. It had it on Xbox and PlayStation, but not on Steam, whereas the exact same achievements are back again on this version of the game, also for Steam. But just be aware, Steam players, that if you want to mess around with console commands, that still exists, but it just actually gives you a warning here saying use of any console commands will disable achievements. I'm assuming that means any, even if it's something small like you wanted to make your character a little bit taller. So yeah, that's definitely something that you want to play around with after you've got all of the achievements. And there you have it. Santa Shea Gorath is going to say goodbye from me. That's all I have for you today. I feel like that's quite a lot of information I've managed to glean just from a couple of hours of gameplay. If I've got anything wrong or anything that you wish to add, then just hit me up in the comments. And yeah, that would be really appreciated for everyone to decide whether or not this is a game that they want to invest in. Just also be on the lookout for Oblivion later this year. Those guys put a lot of effort into their game as well. It's great that we've got an official remaster, but I'm also equally excited to play the Skyrim version of Oblivion. Support those guys. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like and subscription if you enjoyed this video. See you on my next one.